Coming up this morning on the Dattitude podcast, when asked by Cindy Lou Who last week if he ever would consider playing for the New Orleans Saints, the Grinch, Aaron Rodgers said no, and that he's, quote, too old. I don't want to live in Louisiana. I hate to tell you this, Mr. Namaste, but nobody wants you. Nobody here wants you. Can you imagine the circus that is going to follow that dude to his next step? Well, we can, because we're going to talk about it this morning. Also, local radio icon Eric Asher is here to share his thoughts, or will be here, on the great Aaron Rodgers. Whatever. And his early thoughts on what might happen in the 2025 season. It's a fun show. You can see I've had all weekend to rest up. We're going to have a lot of fun this week. This Wednesday, Friday, whatever. It's a short week. We're going to have fun. We'll also chat about LSU baseball and their regional, as well as to give you an update on LSU Shreveport. Are they still undefeated? And what about Loyola baseball? The NAIA World Series is coming to a close. We've got to give you an update. It's local teams. We love them. So, like I said, it's been 5 days since the last DAT. It's time to cue the music. It's time to start the show. Let's have some fun, boys and girls.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? You miss me? I missed y'all. I missed having fun with the group. Weird being off on a Monday, although it was busy. It's been a busy weekend. But I'm glad to be back, and we're glad to be doing Dattitude, episode number 379, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. You know who I am. I'm Jim Derry. 35, almost 35. I'm cheating when I say that. It's almost 35, not quite there yet. 35 years on the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you for being a part of this ever-growing Dattitude family. What a morning here at the household. I couldn't find my wallet everywhere. First of all, I couldn't get out of bed. I usually don't have any, it's funny. The older I get, the less trouble I have getting out of bed in the morning, which is weird. I think, it should be the other way around, right? When I was Gabe's age, I was like, I didn't want to get out of bed. I would sleep till noon if you let me. It's like I'd probably sleep till like 1. That's back in the days when I worked 4 to 12 and didn't care, didn't have kids. Who cares? But now, I couldn't sleep past, unless I wake up and spend sometimes I'll wake up and spend part of the morning and when I have a show. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes I'll wake up, spend part of the morning doing stuff, whatever, like 7:30-ish, go back to sleep around now 9:30 for like an hour and a half and wake up at 11. Every now and then. But for the most part, it's usually not today. I could not get up this morning. Then I couldn't find my wallet. I had to offer my kids $5 to find my wallet. I had searched everywhere. One of them finds it. It's buried in the sofa. How did it even get in the sofa? It didn't even sit there last night. I used it yesterday. Anyway, so I ramble on. It's one of those mornings. So maybe it'll be one of those shows. Who knows? Hopefully this show will be better than my morning is gone, because it hasn't been good. What is on the show today? Well, you see it there if you're watching live, or even if you're watching after the fact. The only way you don't see it, obviously, if you listen on the audio version only, the audio only version that is on, Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever, irregular podcast places. Hey, Rodgers. Take a hike. We got the video for you. If you haven't seen it, it's all over social media of Aaron Rodgers saying he doesn't want to play here in New Orleans. Good. We don't want you here anyway. Piss off, dude. That's going to be the lead topic on today's show. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about an OTA update. There's really not much to update. Yesterday's OTA practice was so worthless that we didn't write about it on NOLA.com/sports/Saints. And if you go to the Saints, they have a 1 minute and 1 second clip of highlights. That's how much yesterday was meaningless for OTAs. But we'll tell you when the next practices are, how many practices they have left until they get to minicamp. All that's coming up. Also, we're going to get into some more schedule talk. Eric Asher is on the show today. Like I said, local radio icon. If you've been out of New Orleans for a little while, you don't know who Eric is, you're missing. I mean, he is a fan. He and I have a lot in common. Let's just put it that way. I'm actually going on his show tomorrow, so he's kind of reciprocating. You know, I did the guilt trip thing. Oh yeah, I'll come on your show. How about you come on mine tomorrow? So he's coming on today. I don't know who Friday's guest is yet. We'll figure that out before the show. Gabe's going to come on later on. We had to postpone our I had a lot going on this week, so I didn't get the chance. By the way, the fly's back. It must have been the son of fly, because I mean flies don't live that long. So little bastard. Anyway, see how easy it is to get me distracted. Eric Ash is going to come on. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. We're going to talk about. I'm probably not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about OTAs, but we are going to talk about the schedule. I want to get back into the schedule, get his thoughts on the schedule. Am I missing the boat? Am I being too negative? I also want to talk a little bit about some of the comments that I've got over the last 5 days. Some people are just so unrealistic about just life in general. You wonder about some people, right? And of course, again, LSU is a number 6 seed. We will talk about that with Eric. I'm going to give you an update on the NAIA World Series in just a minute. I want to get to some comments. I also want to tell you that you can be a part of the show by typing in your comment if you haven't already done so. We've got plenty in the queue. Going to get to it in just a minute. YouTube, Facebook. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page, where we are on usually live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time. You can click the little bell to receive notifications. Sometimes we go on at weird times. Sometimes we have to skip a day. It was a holiday Monday. We're here now, and you know how to get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or via email, jderry@theadvocate.com. Again, a lot of emails, a lot of comments the last few days. Good morning, everybody. Charles Mangus is here. Where you at, Dattitude family? Where you at? Who wants the snowflake, Aaron? Not the who that. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if that numbnuts came here? Hey, Mark Gapsky, good morning. Who dat? Also, Charles is putting, can't believe LSU got shut. They didn't care. To prove that LSU, and when I say they didn't care, of course they wanted to. You never go out and not want to win. But to show you how much LSU baseball they just wanted to get past that first game. Okay. Get past the first game, see what happens in the semifinals. Great. If you win, you win. Great. They were pretty much locked into where they were going to be. Now, had they won the SEC tournament, they probably would have been a little bit higher than 6, but I don't think they care. They pitched their top 2 starting pitchers in the same game Friday to win the first game Friday. They didn't care. Ray Barra, good morning, Who Dat Nation. Good morning, Ray. Gerard, good morning. Bambua. I don't know what that means, but we're gonna see. Gabe, you gotta help me so I don't. If I'm Ron Burgundy, you put it on the screen. I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna read it. Robbo. Aaron Rodgers is a worn-out quarterback trying to milk one more season and retire on. He's probably gonna get it, right? I'm kind of surprised he hasn't yet. I guess we'll see what happens. June 1 is on Saturday. June 1 is Saturday. So we'll see what happens then. Kyle Sherman, good morning from Munich. You heading to dinner? Wow. Had to say hi. Aaron is a jackass. Well, good morning in Munich, Germany. Enjoy. Phil Mariande, good morning from Texas. Ray, man, we hope you feel better. He's in bed with a sinus infection. Ready to talk OTAs. Again, we're gonna spend too much time on OTAs. We will talk about it a little bit, but again, when we don't write anything, when we write no stories, we had a story from yesterday, but it was Duncan writing a column about Kellen Moore and Demario Davis, and it had nothing to do with yesterday. So when we don't write a story updating you on a practice, and the Saints give you a 1 minute and 1 second video of what happened and really nothing. I watched it. I'm like, that was nothing. Cecil Evans writes, Rodgers is the creepy old guy that hangs out outside the convenience store looking for young people to party with. Just go away, you freak. I agree. Oh, and Attilio, good morning. Chad Gage is here. Good morning. Rodgers can disappear into a solace of darkness. Amen. Michelle Castro, Ariglado, Neesmith. Let's go, Saints. Smash Rodgers Day. Yeah, we're just going to kick him. I'm going to show you that when Eric comes on later, I got the video to show you. If you haven't seen it, I have it for you, but I'm saving it for when Eric gets here. Brian Cabot, where you at, New Orleans? All the Dattitudes. What's important? Let me tell you, the rest of your life is important. You're getting ahead of me. Of course, the rest of your life is important. You're getting ahead of me. Evangeline Securities, you got to wait a little bit. They're getting excited. See that, Nick? They're all waiting for the Evangel. They don't care about the show. They wanted the ad. That's why we don't want Rodgers, he says, and all of his drama is bad for the rest of our lives. That's the truth. That is the truth. All right, I can't. Dana, I don't know what you mean by that, but I can't show that. I'm not showing that guy. We show lots of stuff here, but I ain't showing that one. That one's on Facebook. A-Town, good morning. You lost your wallet in El Segundo. I don't think is that the same reason why I lost my wallet? Because I was careless. Is that why you lose a wallet in El Segundo? I don't know. Donna Lynn, Aaron Rodgers is washed up. Amen. Also, an interesting little tidbit. You do realize that Aaron Rodgers is older than Kellen Moore, like significantly older. How do you think that would go when he just like, I'm not calling that play? How do we think that would go? I think that would be interesting. All right, I'm going to get back to the comments in just a minute. Again, you can put your comments in this show if you're new, if you haven't been around in a while, whatever. You know how to type them in. It's simple. You type them in. We read them on the air. We talk to one another. That's what we do here. I want to give you a real quick a Loyola baseball update. They are done. They went 1-2 in the NAIA World Series, but they made it interesting. You want to talk about a team with heart, and we had Coach Jeremy Kennedy on last week. I want to have Brandon Mooney on, their top player, and I'm not exaggerating when I say one of the best players in NAIA. I mean, like, seriously, one of the best players in NAIA. Loyola in that final game on Sunday. Oh, no, it must have been Monday. It was Monday. It was Memorial Day. My son and I, he made fun of me and he was right. I got to give the little bastard credit. They got down 9-0, and I said game over. And he says, "You always tell me not to say that." And he's right, because I almost looked like a fool, and I really kind of wish I would have. They were down 9-0 after, I think, 2 innings, after 2 or 3 innings. They lost 9-8. They had the tie and run in scoring position in that final inning. Wow. Here's my racetrack tip of the racetrack. Racetrack gets a lot of free advertisement on this show. I need to reach out to them. Maybe they'll sponsor something. I don't know what. Anyway, I think he was 6 for 10 for the series, and the game that they won, he had a home run, 2 doubles, and a single. And the only reason why that double wasn't a triple was because they originally called it a home run. They went back and reviewed it and said it hit the top of the wall and was not a home run. And so there's a good chance he would have had a triple and would have had the cycle. So we're going to try to get Brandon Mooney on this show either this week or early next week. LSU Shreveport, by the way, 56-0. There's your LSU Shreveport update. They are in the winner's bracket. Not only are they in the winner's bracket, according to Roy Lang, who writes for the Shreveport Bossier City Advocate. Let's see. They have a chance to clinch a spot, I think, this afternoon. They're playing Southeastern of Florida, who is 43-13. That's a winner's bracket game. Both of those teams are undefeated. They'd have to be beat twice. So they're in the quarterfinals. They're in the semifinals, I think. Whoever wins this game is in great shape, making it the championship. They are just 2 victories away from a championship. And the good news for the Pilots is they've had some rest. Southeastern had to play yesterday. They won 2-1 over Georgia Gwinnett yesterday, so they have no rest. So LSU Shreveport is in great shape. 56-0. We had their coach on, Brad Neffendorf, on week before last. And if they finish what they need to win 3, they'd be 59-0. If they go 59-0 and win the NAIA World Series or 60-0, whatever it is, he's going to be on the show again. Promise you. That is amazing. You know what else is amazing? Evangeline Securities. They're amazing. Of course, they are a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. We already told you. I mean, Brian Cavett told you what's important the rest of your life. How do you get to the rest of your life? Well, they can help figure out what your business is worth. You need to know that first. If that's you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt. They will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. From there, you'll be well informed and begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. And you know what? Maybe you could be sitting up there with Aaron Rodgers, just chilling with your sunglasses on, saying, I don't want to live in Wisconsin or New York or wherever the hell you live. Where the hell is he living right now? Who knows? I think he wants to live in Pittsburgh. What happens if they don't want him, by the way? Maybe he should call Evangeline. You can start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices, either on Poydras Street, as we told you. What happens after all that? Well, we'll fill you in more later in the show. After Eric, before Gabe, will tell you what happens. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. As we move on to the Saints here, I got some interesting comments from the Saints from a column that Rod Walker wrote over the weekend about Kellen Moore. And I don't normally read straight from a story, but I found these comments super interesting, not just because of what's new here, but because of what obviously was around in the past. We've told you so many times. I mean, one of the biggest problems I had with Dennis Allen was I'm different in the fact of, I know most of you just think he was an awful coach. I don't. I think he was an okay coach. The problem he has, and obviously this is part of coaching, but was his communication skills. He had a problem with his vibe, okay? And one thing that's different between this team and past teams is, one thing is for sure is being up front and winning that locker room. And Kellen Moore, Rod writes about how this team is like Kellen has already won the locker room. And that's obviously important. Go check it out, NOLA.com/sports/Saints. But Carl Granderson quote, there's 2 quotes I want to read in, and it's actually a paragraph, 2 quotes in a paragraph from the column that I want to read from. I implore all of you to go read the whole thing. Again, it's easy to find, NOLA.com/sports/Saints. It's like the 4th or 5th thing. It's Rod Walker's column. Carl Granderson says of Kellen Moore, quote, he brings a different type of energy and vibe to the locker room. I feel like everything seems more intact and on schedule. He is just bringing a different swagger to the whole facility and organization right now. What does this team need more than swagger? I mean, they could use some talent, but I think they actually have talent there. All kidding aside. What does it say to say that this coach has swagger? Did none of your other coaches have swagger? How bad was it under Dennis Allen? Obviously, it was pretty darn bad. And then I want to read these next 2 paragraphs. It's a paragraph and a quote from Rod's column. I'm reading straight from it, so I'll give him all the credit, obviously. Rod says, honest dialogue is something that Kellen Moore believes in. It's the one thing tight end Juwan Johnson has appreciated the most in the early stages of playing for his 3rd head coach in 5 years. When Derek Carr announced his retirement 2 weeks ago, Moore made sure his players knew about it before they saw it somewhere on the social media or scrolling across the bottom of their TV screens on the ESPN ticker. What does that say about where this franchise was before Kellen Moore came here? I mean, wouldn't this be common sense? I mean, I'm going to throw this out there because I know how that feels. Back in May of 2012, For those who are local, you'll remember this. What happened in May of 2012? Well, it's when we all found out that it's not the same company who owns the Times-Picayune now, so I can say this and feel comfortable about saying it. In fact, it's a huge reason why the New Orleans Advocate was even born. But May of 2012, the Times-Picayune, the then Times-Picayune, which, again, owned by a different company. I don't even need to mention who they are. You can go find it. It's easy to find. But announced they're going to be the first paper that I know of. It was national news. You think back 13 years ago. God, I can't believe it's that long ago. But 13 years ago, the Times-Picayune announced they were going to go from 7-day-a-week printing to 3 days a week. And they were going to lay off a huge chunk of their staff, what ended up being, I believe, 50% of the staff. I was one of those people. Found out a month later that I was one of those people that got laid off. Now ended up being brought back and then fired again and brought back again. But that's a whole different story. But what was the same about then? That back in May of 2012. You know how I found out? My wife was getting ready for work at 7 in the morning. It was on the news. It was on Fox 8 News. Fox 8 News told me that we were going to 3 days a week and that half of the newsroom was getting laid off. It's the same thing here. I know how that feels. It doesn't feel good. How can you let your fellow team know about major things happen now or not let them know that it's happening? So Juwan Johnson says in Rod's column, quote, Kellen relayed us to it before it hit the public, and that says a lot. In the past, news broke, and we didn't even know it until it hit the media. So I think the communication part and his ability to really open up the guys is going to be big for him. There's not a disconnect between upstairs and downstairs. Should that even be a thing? I mean, how ridiculous is that? That even happened? I don't know, man. Daryl Romero, thank you for coming on here. I appreciate that you say this almost every show. Love the show. We just want the Saints to play hard and smart. Who dat? Thank you for being a regular member of the family here. Booker, who dat? Absolutely. Glad you're here. Mark Satanovich, go get Flacco when the Browns cut him. I don't think they're going to cut him. I think he's got a decent chance to start. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to start because they got two rookies there, two very prominent rookies. He's a veteran who's okay with being able to tutor young guys. Rodgers and Cousins still think they are starting quarterbacks in the league, but don't want to teach any young quarterbacks. I don't necessarily Cousins. I'm not going to be hard on Kirk Cousins. I don't know what's going to happen with him. Aaron Rodgers is just an asshole. That's the only way I can put it. It really is. The only way I can put it. Let's see. Mark says also, yeah, we're going to get to the OTA schedule in just a minute. Reginald Porter. Rodgers is too old to be playing football. One hit away from the wheelchair. Rotten to the core. I mean, the only thing I'll say to that, Reginald, and I agree with you 100%, but Chris Olave is one hit away from the end of his football career. That's kind of scary. Ray Ibarra, hopefully we play the team Rodgers signs with. Well, I think the only team that Gabe can tell me if he thinks I'm wrong, but I think Pittsburgh's the only chance he's got, right? I mean, I guess theoretically, and I think he's already said no to this, that I think Minnesota, but I think he already said that he wasn't going to Minnesota, or Minnesota said they don't want him, whatever it was. We don't, and the Saints don't play Pittsburgh. They don't play Minnesota this year either. So either one of those guys. Let's see what else we got. I don't understand, Veronica, what you mean there. Ray says roll with the young guys. You have to. I mean, you know how I've been critical of the Rat. But if the almighty football god came down on the Dattitude podcast right now and said, I'll give you a choice in 2025. You can have Aaron Rodgers start 17 games or Rattler starting 17 games. It's easy. Taking Rattler. 100%. I want to see. I know what's going to happen if Aaron Rodgers is. It's going to be a circus. It'd be a joke. Anyway, Eric Asher coming up in just about 5 minutes or so. Tedders, good morning. Glad you're here. Lewis Jacobson is here. A-hole. Yeah, a-hole. That's what he is. The dude's D-bag. Again, I'm going to show the clip when Eric comes on in just a minute. But if you haven't seen it, most of you probably seen it, but not everybody's seen it. Melanie Michael Carter says he was implying the city was nasty. Yeah, we don't roll like that, man. I hope he does. I agree with, who was it that said that? Whoever, if somehow he could play for a team that the Saints play, that would be fun. That would be fun. Oh, Lordy. Anyway, Earl's Picks is here. Hopefully Olave wears one of those Guardian helmets. I think he kind of has to, right? We're all over the place this morning. Kind of has to. Scott Evans, he's like to see Rattler start. He was the starters this year to start with. Last year's Rattler had a banged up O-line and couldn't do anything. Look, last thing before we get to Eric. Yeah. Last thing. I had in back and forth. I was talking about some of the commenters, and this is the only comment I'm really going to talk about, but I had a back and forth with one of our commenters. I don't think it's a regular. I think it's one that's just was trying to poke the bear. And I don't usually go back and forth. I usually say what I have to say. They like to come back and have the last word, and I usually let them. But in this case, we kind of went back and forth. He probably had the last word. I didn't go back to read to see if he left another comment or not. We went back and forth like 4 times. Realistically, there is close to 0.0% chance. It's not 0.0. It's probably realistically it's about a 5% chance. That's how low I'm putting this. About a 5% chance that Rattler starts, and that's barring injury. I'm not factoring injury into anything. But be realistic. Why in the hell would Kellen Moore draft a quarterback at 40 and then start Dennis Allen's drafted quarterback who came in the 5th round and went 0-6? You want me to go in there? Melanie Michael Carter wants me to go in the record. Okay. I'm going on the record. I'm telling you right now. 5% chance that it's Rattler. 90% chance that it's Shuck, and 5% chance it's somebody else that we haven't talked about yet. Not Deckers. That's 0.0. It ain't Hayner. He'll be cut. I mean, even though he's hurt, whatever, he'll be cut. 5% chance they sign somebody and he starts. I'm not telling you this to be quote unquote a hater. I'm telling you this to be realistic. Realistically, you don't go out and draft a 26-year-old quarterback, let him sit on your bench so you can play the guy that went 0-6 and was drafted by another guy last year. Tell me how that would possibly make sense. Doesn't. Just doesn't make sense. You know what does make sense, though? Having on a local radio icon and Eric Asher. That makes sense. We like
a reach.
Eric Asher. What is going on this morning?
That icon comment is really a reach.
It's you and me against the world, buddy.
There you go, bro.
Ready?
Always.
Yeah, well, there's only a few of us Yats left, Eric. I mean, really. And not in radio.
Dying breed.
When we're gone, like my kid, it's just kind of my kids talk like they're from, I don't know, Missouri or something. Not that that's bad. I'm not calling out anybody from Missouri, but they don't talk like me. And it kind of bothers me a little bit. When we're gone, it's gone.
Well, my kids are all over Houston, Nashville, Chicago. They still talk like Yats.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, yeah. we got some hope for us. But anyway, well, what is your thoughts? Let's get, we'll get to Aaron Rodgers in a second, but just your thoughts on the whole, while we're on it, because I jump around like I got ADHD, and maybe I do. But the whole Shuck versus the Rat thing. Tell me that I'm wrong and that it makes no sense for a rookie head coach to come in here and not start the guy that he drafted at number 40. Instead, would start a guy that was drafted in the 5th round by his predecessor and who went 0-6. In what world does that make sense?
Well, look, I do agree with you. They drafted him at 40 for a reason. I thought your comments of him being a 26-year-old quarterback picked at 40. And do you sit that guy on the bench for what? Till he's 30? So,
exactly.
I mean, again, look, he's going to be given every opportunity to start. I think it will be an open competition, but I think it is open a competition with the eye on Shuck being the starter. Okay. I do think they're going to sign a veteran. They have to sign a veteran. They have to look at what they did last year and see again how wrong that was and how big of a mistake that was not to have a veteran quarterback as a backup on this roster. And I think they're going to have to do that, even just for mentorship, because I am not buying into that Tolzan and Nussmeier and more because of their time in the NFL. That all of a sudden they're going to be quarterback gurus, and the quarterback's going to feel really comfortable. Guys, that again, as you've mentioned, there's not a win in the building, right, when it comes to a quarterback. Okay, and then the other part of it is, are they going to feel comfortable going to that coach and say, hey, here's my issue? No, they will go to a veteran quarterback for that. So I think they're going to have to do that, even if they want to go with a combination of Shuck and Rattler and try to be able to, again, I'm not going to say try, eventually be either a top 5 or a top 10 team in terms of the draft.
I think they will find ways to get Rattler in games. I don't know if it would be as Taysom Hill type. I don't think it would be that, but I think they would find ways to, just like Sean Payton, found ways to get Jameis in games here and there. I mean, it wasn't often, but he found ways to get him in the game and be ready. And that way, in case they need Rattler, because I do think he's going to be a backup. I think he's going to be a fine backup. I don't have any problem with Spencer Rattler as a backup whatsoever. But I do think, I hope you're right about the veteran thing. It's starting to look like they're not going to do that. I think we'll find out within the next week or two. I would think they would do it before minicamp. Maybe, maybe not. But I think they'll find ways to get Rattler in the game. But it just doesn't make any sense to me that you don't just go with your guy.
Well, first of all, I don't think they're going to overpay for a vet. Okay, this is going to be your guy. This is going to be a third-string guy at best. A guy that's going to come in if everything just falls apart with, again, your 2 inexperienced quarterbacks. So, but again, to me, Shuck's the guy because they drafted him at 40. But I do think Rattler will have an opportunity. And look, if he's head and shoulders above Shuck in training camp, he's going to get the nod. Now,
yeah, I mean, but he would have to be. I don't disagree with that, but I think he would have to be like headed, like big time.
Yes, I agree. Because again, look, remember, even though he's a 5th round pick, he still is Mickey's pick. Okay,
yeah.
That's still you say that's the other regime, but the regime is still there. The ones that make the picks are still there. So, but again,
you're assuming Mickey's the one that wanted him.
Well, no, I don't know who wanted him over there. I just think they saw a guy in the 5th round that they said, "Oh, wait, look at the grade on this guy. Let's take a flyer." Now, again, I don't think they expected him to start 6 games last year. But with that said, I think we saw who Spencer Rattler is. And I think he can be a career backup in the NFL. I don't think he's a starter. And I don't know if
I think he can be a backup
in the NFL. I mean, again, nobody knows at this point. I guess we'll find out.
All these percentages that I'm giving out, I think there's want to give another percent. I like percentages. I like odds. I think there's at least a 50-50 chance that we're doing this all again next year. I don't think either one of these. I mean, I've said this before. I mean, and there's no way to know. So people get on me. There's no way to know. Okay, you're right. There's no way to really know. But I'm just going by reality and what ratings are on these quarterbacks compared to the quarterbacks that came out last year. Cam Ward, who was the number 1 pick of this draft, would have been the 7th ranked quarterback from last year's class. Okay, so we're talking about a guy that was picked 40th and is the 3rd quarterback taken in this draft. So where would that rank him compared to last year's class? I don't know, 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere around that range. So I don't think either one of these guys is the long-term answer. Eric, there's at least a 50-50 chance that you come on the show on May 28th, 2026, and we're talking about the same crap.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt. First of all, unless Shuck is the next.
Eric froze up on it.
You better be looking for an. He's all rookie, and he's the guy. Okay. Then again, next year with this quarterback class, and look, I've always said, you don't want to be the team that's chasing quarterbacks year after year after year and wasting draft picks. Okay, that is the definition of a bottom feeding team. But at the same time, with this class coming in, and if again the guy that when you come up in the 1st round is appreciably better than the 2 guys that you have right now on your team, you're picking that guy. you're picking another quarterback.
Couple comments here, a few comments actually. Oscar Maurice Calix says, with a healthy offensive line, Rattler may impress more and start, but I'm with you that Chuck will start. Melanie Michael Carter says, put Spencer behind the ones and we will know the answer. Well, he will get a chance to be behind the ones, not behind the practice squad. But again, Melanie Michael, what I'm talking about is, and what Eric is saying, and I think what we're both saying is, Rattler is behind the 8 ball because he's going to have to be way up. He's going to be have to be a lot better than Chuck. If it's a tie, or if he's even he have to be better than kind of winning. I think Rattler looked better. That ain't good enough. If we don't go, unless we're sitting here saying there's no doubt Rattler was better, he ain't starting. Last comment before we move on is Reginald Porter says, what if Rattler beats out Chuck? Is that a bad thing? No, it's not a bad thing because I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I don't think you would think it's a bad thing, right?
Well, first of all, I think he should beat Chuck out. He's got more experience than Chuck at this point. Okay, but I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, I just don't think it's going to happen because, again, I think they drafted him at 40 to be their guy. They knew the Derek Carr situation. Okay,
of course they did.
They knew they needed a quarterback at 40. It would not surprise me if they would have tried to trade up for Jackson Dart if the Giants wouldn't have beat him to it.
They were trying, yeah.
Okay, so they're going to put their eggs in Chuck's basket at this point. Now, again, if Rattler comes in a competition and wins the competition, they're going to go with him. The media is going to be there. All eyes are going to be there. Fans are going to see this during preseason. They're going to see who's going to be appreciably better at this point. But again, at this point, I think you made the most valid point as I was in the green room. You don't draft a quarterback at 40, a 26-year-old quarterback at 40 to sit him.
Eric Asher here in the Dattitude podcast on this Wednesday morning. The Dattitude podcast presented by Evangeline Securities every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, 11 a.m. Central Time live. Eric, I never got a chance, but tell everybody, I'm going to be on your show tomorrow, so tell everybody about that show.
Okay, that would be Inside New Orleans Sports. You can watch it on WLA TV, also Pelican Sports Television. It's also on YouTube as well. It is on Thursday nights at 6 o'clock, Friday nights at 10 o'clock on WLAE, 9 o'clock on Pelican Sports Television every Friday night. And, of course, you can watch it at ericasher.com as well. It's on the WLA TV YouTube channel. You catch me on the radio 4 to 6 weekdays, 106.7 The Ticket.
YouTube channel. It's going to be on YouTube. So if you don't live around here in New Orleans and you don't have access to WLA on the air, you can find it on YouTube. And also, Eric makes me dress up. So, yeah. I mean, if you want to see me dressed up.
From the waist up.
Yeah, but see, I can't do that. Like you... I don't want to give anybody.
No, you can give it away because that's TV. Most people don't even realize that's TV. Okay,
you and Doug Mouton both go in there. Yeah. You might as well be wearing your skivvies underneath the coats. It's like
that is a Larry Holder special. You know,
it really is.
I used to be dressed all the way. Pants, jeans. Now Larry walks in the door with flip flops and a shorts. With again a coat and a tie, and I went, that's me from now on. I'm doing that from now on. So,
man.
Yes, when you see me behind the dais, believe me, I'm wearing shorts or sweats from the waist down.
Maybe in my next life, I'll be a dais, and then I can say I'm a dais.
Yeah, you
get
it?
I got it. That was bad. That's where I'm at on this Wednesday. It's a Wednesday that feels like a Monday. Honestly, that's where I'm at today. It's we have a lot of fun on that show, and I'm glad you invited me. And besides that, I'm going to be on with y'all might not know who he is, but he precedes me in this business, and I am a huge fan of Lenny Van Gilder. I know I'm be on the show. I'm actually excited about being on the show with Lenny Van Gilder on Thursday tomorw.
Lenny has been savant. Can I say that?
Lenny has been Lenny was an AGA clerk at the Times-Picayune before he was already gone. That shows you how long he's been in this business. I'm coming up on 35 years. Lenny was an AGA clerk at the Times-Picayune before I was an AGA clerk. So anyway, Reginald, thank you so much.
Lenny, man.
Reginald says, thank you. Good job. We're funny as hell. Well, my wife doesn't think so. I wish she would tell her that I'm funny. So, all right, I want to get to the Aaron Rodgers thing here. And this was just fun. You want to talk about being funny.
Yeah.
All right. So let me set this up by showing this clip first. For those who haven't seen the clip, it's a 30-second clip that he on social media of, I don't even know where he was. I don't care where he was, that I found that was on X. It's all over the place. I don't even know who originally posted it. So I am stealing this. I'm not breaking any news here. But this just pissed me off, Eric, and I'm sorry. I never really liked Aaron Rodgers anyway, and this just kind of helped seal the deal. Here he was one day last week, someone asking him if he would think about playing for the New Orleans Saints.
Free agent now. Would you ever consider playing for the Saints and making us great again? Because I don't know.
No.
That's the answer.
That's the answer.
All right, next question.
It's no. No, I've played there a couple times, but no. The answer is no. I'm too old. I don't want to live in Louisiana. Sorry.
What the hell does that mean? I'm too old. I want to live in Louisiana. Piss off, dude. We don't want you here anyway. Jackass.
Old broken down quarterback. Nobody wants. Overpaid.
Overpaid. You ain't lying.
Yesterday's news, and again, he's taking shots at Louisiana and New Orleans. He's been here twice, so he knows a lot about the culture and a lot about the city.
But I mean, seriously, and I couldn't help myself on X the other day when I saw it. My response was, "Go namaste yourself." I mean, who cares? I mean, Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to come here. I mean, seriously, could you imagine the circus that would be here in New Orleans if that dumbass came here and played quarterback for the Saints?
Well, not just that. Again, first of all, I don't think, even with $28 million to spend, the Saints could not afford him, nor should they afford him.
No.
And again, what are you bringing him in for? He's not the guy you're looking to mentor. This guy's trying to play, trying to get on the field. And he'll be on the field for about 3 games, then he'll be on IR.
Yeah. Scott says, Scott Super Show Fox, welcome to the show, by the way. He can't take the heat. You can't handle the truth. Aaron Rodgers, Earl's Pick says he's too Hollywood. That clown. What a clown. And then Mark Satanovich got a good point. Saints and Pelicans medical staff got Rodgers spooked. I mean, maybe that's what it is. I mean, that very well could be it, right, Eric?
That one hit the bullseye.
All right. Well, look, could you imagine a guy coming in here who's like, 5 years older than Kellen Moore, and a play being called, and I ain't calling that play? Could you imagine that whole crap?
No, I can't. Again, for me, Aaron Rodgers was never on my bingo card for the New Orleans Saints. But again, he didn't have to take a shot.
Neither was Derek Carr retiring.
Why was that even necessary? Hey, man, look, you know what, New Orleans, and first of all, he's not coming to a 5-12 team,
right?
Okay? That's not even in the cards.
Well, I mean, go to the Steelers; they have potential to be a 5-12 team.
You saw what Terry Bradshaw had to say about it, right?
No, I missed that. I did get an alert about it. What did he say?
Told him to stay in California.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you, Terry Bradshaw. A couple more comments here. Chad Gay says, because again, not emotionally abused a Louisiana win. Oh, that's all. I'm not getting into any allegations.
You don't come out of that unscathed.
Yeah, we're not doing any. We can announce the allegation. It's alleged, Chad. It's alleged. It's alleged. Reginald Porter says Roger belongs on Survivor. And Earl's Pick says it's so weird that Mike Tomlin would even entertain. Why would Mike Tomlin want that circus? I mean, Mike Tomlin's probably getting towards the end of his line in Pittsburgh. I don't think he's done coaching, but you got to think Mike Tomlin's probably ready for a break. He's around my age, maybe a little bit younger. He's got to be wanting to move on soon, huh?
Look at Sean Payton. Now, again, Sean Payton got out while the getting was good, right? But at some point, again, you probably want to experience something else as a head coach.
Yeah, Gabe's right about Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell are nutcases. George Pickens too. So maybe he doesn't care. Maybe Tomlin can deal with the nutcases. I mean, if he dealt with those guys,
well, you got to be in desperation mode to go after Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, you might be right. David +1 hash said Terry Bradshaw said, quote, that guy needs to stay in California, go somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there.
Exactly. Great.
All right. I'm going to move on from Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to come back to Aaron Rodgers later after Eric's off the show because I can't help myself. I just can't help myself. But I want to talk a little bit about the schedule and where this team is. Okay. And I'm going to put the schedule on the screen, and I want you to look at this thing. And I know you and I have talked about it, and we'll talk about it again. It's only May 28th. We'll probably talk about this multiple times before September the 7th. But as you look as I try to show this thing. Man, just nothing's working right today. I don't know what is going on here. Okay, maybe I won't. There it goes. You talk about Aaron. Nothing is cooperating with me this morning. But you look at this schedule, Eric, and I want you to look at specifically at those first 4 games. Okay, Cardinals, 49ers. Okay, they're at home. That's great. Seabags on the road, which is a tough place to play anyway. And granted, Seahawks are probably going to be an average, maybe a little above average team. And then the Bills, they're not winning that game. So forget about the 4th game. The Saints, on what planet could the Saints possibly? That's a game where if it were 10-1, I would probably put $100 on the Bills to win $10. That's how sure I am the Bills are going to lose. The Bills are going to beat the Saints. So you tell me how they're going to find 2 wins in that first four game stretch.
I don't see 2 wins. I see 0-4 going into the Giants.
So do I. So, I mean, if this team, and look, don't get me wrong. Sure, they could go and beat the Giants and the Patriots at home. They could. But when you if you start 0-4, you're talking about a rookie head coach with a rookie quarterback. Whoever it is has 0 wins under his belt. Doesn't matter which one it is. And then going in against the Giants team that's thinking the same thing your fans are thinking, ooh, easy win. Because I guarantee you Giants fans are like, well, we know we're going to win in week 5. Okay. The Patriots are thinking the same thing. So if this team starts out to 0-4, what kind of pressure would that put on this team going forward?
I don't know, Jim. I don't know if there's a lot of pressure on 0-4 in the beginning for them because of Kellen Moore being a rookie head coach with a rookie quarterback. I think it's almost at this point, if you're going in with that, you understand there's going to be growing pains. And, again, I think the fans at this point understand. I mean, again, if you don't know they're rebuilding, take a look at what's going on right now. Okay. They may not want to admit it. So I don't know if I don't think there's a lot of pressure this year on any of these guys, at this point.
Are you going to? Well, I was going to ask, are you going into this season?
No,
I don't think so either.
But there are some winnable games on the schedule. You know how I feel about this. I think it's hard to diagnose what a team is going to look like in May based off what they did last year because of the turnover within the NFL. And so, again, I think we're going to see some teams that will look really good last year that are not so good this year. And again, we'll see some teams that go from worst to first. Now, I don't think that's going to be the New Orleans Saints, okay? But, again, I don't think there's a lot of pressure on I think there's always going to be pressure on Loomis, okay? But I don't think there's pressure on this staff this year. I think they get a mulligan.
And that leads me into this question. See, I have a hard time saying, okay, wins don't matter. But I know that I'm not along with the majority on this one. I know for the majority of Saints fans this year, the wins don't matter. I mean, they're being realistic. They agree. They agree with you 100% that. However, when I say wins don't matter, and I can live with wins don't matter to a certain degree, but I don't think this franchise can afford like a 3-14 because I think or a 4-13 even or worse, which is possible. Because I think you fall into this huge hole that is way too hard to climb out of. You're going to be losing so many players after the season. Yeah, you get the salary cap right and all that, but I'm okay with wins don't matter. But you have to win a certain amount. I don't know if it's 5. I don't know if it's 6. I don't know what the number is. And yes, I want him to just look better. I want him to improve from week 1 to week 18. That is a huge deal. However, I just don't know if you can climb out of you go into a 3-4 hole. You're talking like many multiple years, like 3, 4, maybe 5-year hole.
I would say this. I think you hit on exactly the way I feel about this season. They have to get better week to week. We have to see improvement from week 1 to the end of the season. And I think if you see them getting appreciably better every week, if we don't see the rash of injuries like we saw last year, we start to see a lot of these young players coming in, maybe, again, taking a little bit more time away from these veterans because that's where they're going to basically, again, going to be in that position next year where, again, those guys are going to be counted on either get a lot of playing time or start. I think that the fan base will be patient. I think they understand the era of Sean Payton is over. The era of Drew Brees is over.
Yeah.
We are back to the Archie Manning
actually a
days.
good thing.
Okay?
That's actually a good thing.
Manning days. This is the Saints of my childhood.
Yeah, but you're moving on. You're moving forward. This team has to move forward. You have to. I'm not saying you have to erase the past. I'm never one. You don't erase past. Okay, the past is the past. It's going to be there, whether you go in the history books and try to delete it or whatever. In any phase of life. My point is with this, I don't want to erase the past, but you have to move on from the past. And I don't know that this team has truly moved on from the past. You're right. I think Sean Payton is gone. He's never coming back. I don't think. Yeah, no, he's gone. He's never coming back. Drew Brees is gone. He's never coming back. So you have to move on for it, but you got to see, in some of these comments, look, Tony Godot, you think they can win 6? I mean, that's realistic.
I think that's realistic. It is. I do.
I mean, that's realistic. Charles says they're going to start 1-3 and beat San Francisco. If they start 1-3, it ain't going to be because they beat San Francisco. San Francisco is going to be an 8-point favorite coming in here to New Orleans. They're not going to beat San Francisco, who's going to be a Super Bowl contender this year. Don't
let last year's record fool you about San Francisco.
Exactly. They've got to win one of those first 4 games, and it's either Arizona or Seattle, both of which would be super tough.
I think it would be great to see them win one of the 4 games, but I don't think it's a must. I really don't. I think everybody's going to look at this and they're going to say these are games that probably the Saints, again, if they can stay close, if they're in the game, again, if they're getting better week to week, I don't see a scenario. And if they win one of those games, then I think they're ahead of schedule.
Gabe says there's a 1% chance they win 6 games. If anybody thinks that, okay, that's a little bit much, and Gabe's going to come on in a little bit to talk about his opinion. But I mean, if you think that, then you should just go bet a mortgage payment on. And I'm not advocating anyone to go bet a mortgage payment on anything. But if you feel that way, you probably should go.
If you're betting the mortgage payment on the Saints, you might as well just sign the house over now. Okay, I mean that's over.
A10 says 4-13 team has got to get younger. I mean, Chad Gage says if we win only 3 to 5 games, if the quarterbacks are okay and show growth, and still draft a new quarterback, where is that tipping point? I mean, I guess that's where I'm at. If they win 3 to 5 games, okay, and you have to draft a quarterback again, isn't this just a wasted year? And a wasted year is exactly that. It's a wasted year. I mean, you don't get anything out of a wasted year.
Is it really a wasted year, though, when you're in a transition from, again, aging players to a younger roster and guys are getting experience?
It almost makes you want to just skip the year. I mean, why would you want to spend money on season tickets?
But this was the pre-Peyton Saints. This was, again, every year when I was growing up. Okay,
this is pre-Hazlitt Saints.
4 wins, 5 wins. Hey, can the Saints get to 8 wins? Oh,
that was a big deal. Remember?
Huh? Right, that was a huge deal. Okay, so this is where they are right now, and I don't think things change until Mickey Loomis decides to walk out the door. Yeah. And I think if anyone's going to get pressure or get grief about again another losing season, I think that the ire of the fan base, the ire of the media should be directed at the guy who's making the decisions. It's not on Kellen Moore. It's not Tyler Shuck. They just got here. Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't think they should go anywhere. If
they're not going anywhere. But again, that's why I say for them, I think that for at least this year, there's not as much pressure. Yes, you're a head coach. You're just starting. You want to win. You want to prove to the fan base that I deserve to be a head coach. You're Shuck. I deserve to be. I am good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. But again, it takes time.
Earl, I love you, but San Francisco was as bad as us last year. No, they weren't. It wasn't even close. Okay. First of all, I'll give you 2 words that proves that San Francisco is better than the Saints last year. Brock Purdy. Okay. You don't have to say anything else. San Francisco was clearly and it went as bad as it could possibly go. I'm going to ask you a question, and this one is going to lead into it. Tedder says they will win 7 to 10 games. Mark it down. Okay. I'm going to give you my opinion after I ask this question. What do you think is more likely? If the football gods came down you and told you one of these 2 things was going to happen, the Saints are either going to win 7 games on the nose, 7, or they're going to win 1. Which one's more likely?
Well, 1 is more likely than 7.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Again, 7 is probably, I would say 6 is the max. Okay. But again, how's the NFC South going to look? Okay. If the team's got appreciably better, is Atlanta better than they? Keep waiting for Atlanta to bust through, right? Will Tampa take a step? Will Tampa take a step back? Is Carolina going to be better, or is this going to be the same NFC South that we saw? Can you split? I don't think you can split. Can you pick up a couple games? I think you can beat Carolina.
Yeah, maybe.
I think sometimes I think you could throw the records out with Atlanta.
You know what we're doing? We're setting everybody to really want to watch it. Like they're saying 1 win is more probable than 7. I got to watch that show tomorrow night.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, what have they done in the offseason, okay, outside of, again, a draft that we think might be pretty good, okay? They brought in Godchild. What have they done to get? What have they done to get better?
By the way, I think they're gonna win more than 1, and some people win one. I think they're gonna win more than 1. You gave me a
choice between 1 and 7.
Correct, and that's what I'm saying. Which one is more likely? I don't think people realize. I think the ceiling for this team. I agree with you. I think 6 is the ceiling. Would it shock me if they won 7? I wouldn't say shock, but if they won more than 7, it would absolutely shock me.
If that, then Moore's coach of the year.
Oh, there's no question. He has to be. He has to be coach of the year.
Chuck is rookie of the year.
I think there's no question that
both
of these things are true.
I just don't see it. Again, this is a transition year, and I think everybody has to understand that. And let's hope it's a transition into next year, being a team that, again, with 2 really solid drafts behind them, okay, and players with young players getting experience, that they can take another step.
All right,
That's what you're hoping for over the next few years, taking the steps.
We got plenty more Saints to talk about on the show, and when Eric's gone, Gabe's going to come on. We're going to talk about Saints. We're going to talk about just in general football, and I'm going to finish the show. There's no last word today. I'm skipping the last word. I'm going to give the fans the last word today. So we're going to talk about the Saints later on. But I wanted to talk a little bit. We only got about 3 more minutes with you, Eric. I want to talk about the Baton Rouge Regional. LSU gets the 6th overall national seed. And I got to say that I'm a little disappointed. I really thought that this team, I'm not saying they should have been 1 or 2 or whatever. I thought they would be somewhere between 3 or 4. I thought really at worst, I thought 5. And I guess you don't want to be 5. 5 kind of stinks because at least 6 you get to play 3. And then if you make it that far, whatever. But just the overall number 6 seed, I was kind of disappointed with that. Your thoughts?
I didn't really have an issue with it. Again, I think they set them up with a nice regional. I will say that. Again, I don't.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think again the path is there to Omaha. Okay, and that's if you're an LSU fan, that's what you're looking for here. So again, 6th seed, 1st seed. As long as you're a top 8 seed and you have the opportunity to host, that's what you want with LSU. And again, right now it looks like Dallas Baptist might be their only maybe again tough game in this regional. We'll see how that works out. But again, to me, look, the biggest thing is I think that over the last few weeks that, again, we've seen them, we know that they've got the pitching. Okay. But again, I think what has really shown itself is the inconsistency at the plate. And they've got to be more consistent at the plate.
Agree.
If they're going to get to Omaha and they're going to win.
Yeah, and when Koki Riley was on the show last week, our own beat writer here at NOLA.com, and he basically said the same thing. We know that they're going to be able to play a lot of low-scoring kind of games and help them win. But look, in the regional, I agree with you, but LSU has shown to have trouble with Dallas Baptist in the past, and I warn fans who don't know enough about college baseball, do not overlook Dallas Baptist because they're the kind of team. They've already beaten LSU and Baton Rouge before. Yeah. And again, it's a different team. I get it. But, man, anything can happen when you're talking about those kinds of teams.
I agree with you. I mean, look at Coastal Carolina a few years ago.
Exactly. And what are they, 4? They were the 4 out of the in the regional. And look, so it'll be a lot of fun. Gabe's saying LSU's the only top 8 seed to have a team with a top 20 RPI, Dallas Baptist, in their regional, which is kind of crappy. I mean, so I don't – people say they got an easy regional. I don't think the NCAA did them any favors. And what could be fun later, and we saw last year with the Tigers going to North Carolina, could be if the Tigers advance and host the Super Regional next week, and that's a big if. Yeah, they could get Clemson, which would be fun.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. But again, look, I'm a little disappointed of all this. I'm a little disappointed only one team from Louisiana got in. I really thought again that we might have seen more. Southeastern obviously losing in their conference tournament hurt them, again. But look, We're getting into June, and when June comes again, LSU's run to Omaha. Hopefully, we'll see another one this year.
And Jay Johnson, I trust. Charles Mangus, you're right. What about Stony Brook? That was a crusher as well. But
yes, it was.
All of them. I mean, so. All right, Eric, tell the good people out there where they can catch you going forward. We're going to get back to our Saints talk, but tell everybody where they can find Eric Asher on the air.
Inside New Orleans radio show, 4 to 6 weekdays, 106.7 The Ticket. That's 4 to 6 p.m. And, of course, Inside New Orleans Sports, WLA TV, Pelican Sports Television, and also ericasher.com, as well as the WLA TV YouTube channel. You can follow me at Eric_Asher on X, Eric Asher on Facebook. And as always, Jim, thanks for the time. Love being on your show, bud.
I will see you tomorrow. And as you always say, when I leave your show, there he goes.
There he goes.
See you later, my friend.
See you later, bud.
The great Eric Asher. I mean it when I say local radio icon Eric Asher. I'm not just saying that. I mean, if you listen to local radio in this area, then you know who Eric Asher is because he's been around here for a long time. And the best thing about Eric and what we have in common is we don't have any trouble telling you the way it is and explaining. Some people tell you the way that it is. They throw it out there, scream it to you, and then leave. No, we're going to explain to you why we think what we think. We have fun explaining to you why we think what we think. Anyway, last thing on LSU here again as we move on. Gabe might have something to say on it. I don't know. We'll find out in just a minute. But this regional makes me nervous. I'm just telling you. It shouldn't. I don't have it. Look, it would shock me if Rhode Island or Arkansas Little Rock did anything. Okay. Rhode Island's just, I saw their celebration, Rhode Island was doing dances, and I don't even know. I know where Rhode Island is, and I know that Providence is in Rhode Island. Other than that, I don't think I know a single thing about Rhode Island. The joke that my brother-in-law is one of my sister's husband, or ex-husband, used to say, he's from Massachusetts, and he used to say that was it. How did he put it? I think he said New Jersey and New York squeezed their cheeks, and Rhode Island came out. I mean, that's kind of mean, but hey, it is what it is. I'm not worried about them, but Dallas Baptist scares me. They really do, for multiple reasons. Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Yeah, there we go. All right. All right. Before we get to Gabe real quick, again, we're moving on back. We're going to go back to in fact, let's change the slide here so people don't get, let's go back to this one because we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers first. We told you earlier we would let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? So glad you asked. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelton, the folks at Evangeline, I always like Evangeline, but it's Evangeline. Just looks like it should be Evangeline. Whatever. The folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the world. And they will maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, none with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed and they're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. Tell them, Brian Cavett, what's really important. It ain't Aaron Rodgers. It ain't Kellen Moore. It ain't the battle between Chuck and Rattler. What is really important? It's the life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Bring them on. I mean, I know you don't care what Saints one way or the other, but you had to be with us in the Gabe Henderson and the piss off Aaron Rodgers moment. I mean, come on.
Actually, no.
Would you want him to go to Houston?
No. But no, so with Aaron Rodgers, I don't like Aaron Rodgers.
If CJ Stroud got hurt, would you want Aaron Rodgers?
No, absolutely not. But that's because I think Davis Mills is a fine backup.
Okay, let's say Davis Mills flew the coop. Like, how far would you have to go to say, okay, I'm willing to have Aaron Rodgers on your team?
I'm tired of Aaron Rodgers. I don't want anything to do with him.
So then you're saying piss off too. No, it
No,
doesn't have
no,
to be
no, no.
piss off from
Here's
New
the
Orleans.
thing.
Just
So-
piss off in general.
Here's what I'm saying. I think it's a huge overreaction to get mad at him for what he said.
No, I'm not getting mad. That's not why.
No,
I'm
but there
mad
are
at
people who I've seen people get mad
can
about
go
saying he wouldn't
namaste
play for the
himself.
Saints. And like, oh, get off your high horse and all that. He didn't say anything disrespectful.
He said, I'm not going to move into Louisiana.
Okay. I don't want to move to Louisiana.
Okay, but if
I've
I were
already lived
talking to
there.
you, yeah, but I'm just saying, you lived here to go to school. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if I said I ain't going to Houston, you might take offense to that.
No.
You
I
wouldn't,
don't-
but maybe you don't seem okay. 85% of Houstonians.
I don't take
probably
offense at all
take
because
offense
there
to
are a
that.
number of factors
Yeah.
that
well.
that could contribute. I mean,
By the way, S.
the
Callie,
weather-
welcome to the show, S. Callie. We're glad you're here. Hello.
The weather
Yeah,
alone,
but-
Aaron Rodgers from California. Who in their right mind would want to go from the California weather to Louisiana?
Yeah, and they don't have
Nobody.
they don't have as many yoga.
There's nothing wrong with Louisiana, Charles. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I just don't want to live there because I absolutely hate the heat. And in Baton Rouge, it's worse than Houston.
Wait a minute. You think Houston heat's pretty bad? It's no different than New
It
Orleans.
is.
heat.
No.
It
It's
might be different than Baton Rouge heat. Baton
I'll
Rouge
tell
heat
you
is
why it's
different.
worse.
I agree with
I'll
that.
tell you why it's worse. Because Baton Rouge has those little 30-minute afternoon showers every afternoon that makes it just so muggy for the rest of the day.
Would you rather live in Green Bay and -10 in December
Then where?
than Baton Rouge?
Yes.
Oh God, no.
New Orleans, no, but Baton Rouge, yes. Let's
No.
call it for what it is.
And look,
let's
I'm
be
a-
honest with ourselves.
Let's
be honest with ourselves.
know.
Outside of LSU's campus, Baton Rouge is not great. We'll put it that way.
I don't disagree with that. I'm not a Baton Rouge dude, and I'm not trying to piss anybody off in Baton Rouge. So look, and I went to LSU. I'm not a big Baton Rouge dude. Okay, I'm Baton Rouge and New Orleans are not the same. And I'm not trying to piss anybody off in Baton Rouge. We have plenty of viewers in Baton Rouge, and by no means.
At least it's not Lafayette.
No, I'll be in Baton Rouge on Sunday because I am going to the regional this weekend. I'm going Sunday. I wanted to go both Saturday and Sunday, but I can't do it. S. Callie says, welcome from Pensacola, afternoon showers every day. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Pensacola.
And anyone who lives in the South.
Sean says he lived in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. Humidity's worse than NOLA.
Maybe I haven't spent enough time I haven't lived in New Orleans. For
That
multiple years.
probably is true, Sean, but it is hotter in Baton Rouge. It is hotter. Look,
Baton
I'm not
Rouge
not trying to piss anybody off in Baton
absolutely.
Rouge. I'm just saying that's not where I'd want to live.
No, I mean, no.
right.
It's just, when it comes to stuff like that, I don't blame Aaron Rodgers. Never said
Yeah.
anything disrespectful.
I don't think
He
that's
just
what
simply
it.
said he doesn't-
But I don't even think it's about the heat. He's just an asshole. All right, let's move on. Let's move on from there.
He is
from
an
Aaron
asshole.
Rodgers.
I agree with you there.
I mean, so that's
Completely.
kind of the thing. What is? I know you like to come in here and surprise me with a thought of the day. I don't even know if you have one because I didn't ask. But what is your thought of the day? Anything happen? We haven't spoken since last Friday, really. Got to be something.
I
that
would
strikes your
say-
fancy.
I mean, the
I like to be
earlier
surprised.
discussion. The earlier discussion about I didn't go to school at Tulane, Mark. I went to LSU.
Gabe went to LSU.
Yes. The earlier discussion, I don't think there's any chance the Saints win 6 games. I just think
All
if
right.
you look at that schedule, it's so hard to find 6 wins.
But come on, you don't really mean 0.0000001% chance they win 6 games. I mean that's. I'm not saying I don't think they're going to win
Not
6
far
games
off.
either.
That is an exaggeration.
All
It
right,
is an
so
exaggeration, a slight one though. I don't see 6 wins on the schedule.
all right, I'm going to give them about a 20%. No, more than that.
Charles. I
mean-
never said I hate Baton Rouge.
All right,
I never said hate.
all
is
right,
such a
we're
strong
moving on
word.
from that. All right, well, I give them about a 30% chance. Nah, that's probably still too low. Let's say 40% chance to win one of those first 4 games. Okay, they're
Okay, I
not
thought
beating
you were gonna say
Buffalo
that.
and they're not beating San Francisco. So I give them a 40% chance to win either Arizona or Seattle. My problem is that I think if they don't win one of those first 4 games and they start out 0-4, I think that puts so much pressure on them to win the Giants game. If they start 0-5, this season could turn into a real disaster. I mean, I guess that's my problem I have with this schedule. Losing breeds losing.
The Giants game is your first opportunity to win.
I mean,
I find it hard to believe that a rookie quarterback, if Tyler Shuck is the starter, is going to win his first start against an Arizona team that's scrappy.
Yeah.
And then not only that, I mean, you said the other opportunity to win was you're then asking a rookie in his 3rd game to go to one of the toughest places to play in the league and win on the West Coast. I just don't see it.
Yeah, and look, I'm not trying to be negative on purpose. And I know a lot of people tune out. They not only that, just hear me being negative, but I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to be realistic, and we're going through the schedule. And there's really not a lot else to talk about on May 28th. But when you talk about it and being realistic, and one thing I said on Eric's show that I gave to Eric and I never even mentioned on this show, but when you talk about, there was a story that we had in our Saints Insiders that had about how the quarterback room is different because it has quarterbacks with experience in the NFL. Well, it has Kellen Moore, it has Doug Nussmeier, and it has Scott Tolzien. If you add those records in, I don't know if I ever told you this, Gabe, but if you add all of those records from Kellen Moore, I looked it up, Kellen Moore, Doug Nussmeier, and Scott Tolzien, and you add it in with the records of the current Saints quarterbacks, do you know what it adds up to? It's way better than the 0-7 that's in the room before you add the coaches in. Way better. Just guess.
Well, that's because you can't get any worse.
Oh well, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know Doug Nussmeier's. I think Doug Nussmeier is a majority of those wins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know his record as a starter. I'd say they're probably closer to 500.
The combined record with the Saints quarterbacks, with the coaches that are in the room helping these quarterbacks, and I have all this experience, and they were being so positive about, with Kellen Moore, Doug Nussmeier, and Scott Tolzien, instead of, it goes from 0-7 to 0-14-1. Scott Tolzien actually had a tie. The rest of them, I
did not know Doug Nussmeier never won a game.
Doug Nussmeier never won a game as a starting quarterback in the NFL, played, I think, 3 years for the Saints. 0 wins among all of them combined. Now, don't get me wrong. Kellen Moore went 52-3 in college or whatever the hell he went. Great. But
Boise State's also the winningest program.
When I'm not trying to be negative, but I don't think there's any question. And y'all can take this whatever way you want. You're going to tell me I'm wrong because people are trying to be, you want to be positive. You want to have hope. That's great. Without hope, life is meaningless. But if we graded the current quarterback rooms in the NFL, I don't think I have to go look anything 32. Up. I think I immediately mark the Saints down at 32.
Absolutely no question about it.
I mean, so if you going in with a rookie head coach and an aging team elsewhere, no depth at the O-line's better, that's great. But no depth in your skill position players. And I'm trying to prepare fans for realism here, okay? If you've got the 32nd ranked quarterback room, how can you expect anything other than 3, 4, 5 wins?
I agree.
I mean,
and just to answer, I wanted to touch on some of the comments. Chad, no, I haven't heard it. I appreciate the recommendation. Tedders, the Brock Purdy love. I don't think there is widespread Brock Purdy love.
You can show him when you're talking about it.
I think he deserved every bit of the contract that he got. That is the nature of quarterback contracts. In the
quarterback, yeah. I mean that's what. And look, you go back to the Derek Carr contract. When people
Derek
talk
Carr
about
deserved every cent that he
got
in the contract.
Exactly. And the whole point is that people think and I had this conversation not this past Monday, but the Monday before. I kind of got into it with, I guess, a poker buddy. Y'all know, anybody watch the show know I play poker every Monday. We had this conversation about how Carr's contract was ridiculous. It wasn't ridiculous. He would have been paid this year as if he were the 18th best quarterback. And you can hate Derek. I'm not bringing Derek Carr up for no reason. I'm telling you that that's what the NFL has come to, rightly or wrongly. Quarterback contracts are everything. If you don't have a quarterback, you have nothing. And the Saints don't have a quarterback.
The Saints
right now.
will learn this year. More than likely. I mean, unless Tyler Shuck pans out. Charles, to answer your question, every team the Saints play,
except one,
underdogs, except for one, the Jets.
The Jets.
They are favored to beat the Jets by, I believe,
point.
Still 1.5.
It's either a point or point and a half.
Point or point and a half, depending on where you look.
I'll look again next week.
With Carr, the Saints could have won the division. No, they could not have.
No, he's saying that. I think he's throwing that at me because I said that and I know you and I differ on this. I think the Saints, I'm not saying they would have. By no means am I saying the Saints would have won the division with Carr at quarterback, but I think they could have won the division with Saints.
I think it would have been very unlikely, as I said at the time, but it's certainly more possible with Carr than it is now. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Ray Barr, any given Sunday. Yeah, and I get it. That's why I think the Saints will pick up more than a few wins. I mean, I think they'll 3 or 4 wins.
You look at last year. I mean, Tennessee won 3, right? And they were the worst team in the league. Didn't they win 3?
Yeah, Tennessee won 3.
Yeah, they won 3, and I think the Patriots won 4, and I'm pretty sure that's the way that it felt.
Yeah, I mean, that is what happens when you don't have a quarterback. If you want to look at a mediocre quarterback room, just look at Tennessee last year. Look how hard it was for that team.
Exactly, and you go by teams. All right, so Tennessee didn't have they were clearly, in my opinion, number 3. Well, you could make a tie. Them and the Giants. I think they were the worst 2 quarterback rooms in football. Right, where they finished. They finished 31-32. Not just the quarterback room. The team finished 31-32. And then who else was pretty bad? Well, Drake May was a rookie. He took his lumps. He didn't even start early on. They waited till like game 3 or 4 to start him. I think Drake May's done.
It was much later.
Was it later? I don't even remember when it was. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. But the point is, I think Drake May will be a good quarterback, but he didn't even get a chance early on because he wasn't ready. And they had a veteran in the room and he didn't start and whatever. It doesn't make a difference. The Patriots, that's why they finished with 4 wins. And they now have a new coach to go with it. So if you look at the teams that were near the bottom, what do they all have in common? They had no quarterback play, literally. So, I mean, that's why it is what it is. Carolina got better as the season went on.
Week 6 is when Drake May started his first
game.
You
go. And had they gotten a win yet?
They'd gotten 1 win. They beat the Bengals in week 1.
Okay, that's right. Oh, that was a big knockout. That was a knockout Pool City. But, I mean, that's just the point. So, I mean, when we're talking about this in May, and again, I may change my opinion. I don't know. Maybe Shuck looks better. Maybe Rattler takes a huge step. Unlikely, but possible. Maybe I don't think the Saints are the 32nd team in the NFL when it comes to the quarterback room. I doubt it. But, I mean, I think the point that we're trying to make here, Gabe, is that if you don't have anything worth a damn in the quarterback room, doesn't matter what your schedule is. You're going to have a tough time doing anything.
100%. And that's why I think, look at that Giants game. That's why I think they favored New Orleans. Their quarterback room is significantly better than the Saints right now.
It is now. Yeah, I mean, the Saints wish they had Jameis right now.
Wish they had Jameis. Wish they had, God forbid, Russell Wilson.
Oof. I don't know. I
feel
about Russell Wilson right now as they would Aaron Rodgers.
Be a veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a little much. I actually, close. As far as headaches go off the field, Russ is not a headache, but Aaron Rodgers actually.
He's a strange bird too. He's a strange bird too. Chad Gage says our wins. Saints wins will be Carolina, Giants, Jets, Falcons, and maybe Cardinals. And you know what, Chad? And again, I'm not poo-pooing on you. Maybe they will. Maybe they will win those games. But all those teams right there are saying, have in their wins, their fans are saying our wins will include the Saints. All of their fans are saying that. So I'm just saying that, you know. We'll see what happens. Final thoughts.
Once again, Charles, though. Charles says Cleveland has 5 quarterbacks, 2 will get cut. Yeah, more than likely. But you don't want to be in a situation where you're picking up what's left in the bargain bin.
Do you think Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders gets cut?
Yes.
I do too.
I think one of them gets cut, and that's solely because they Kenny Pickett.
And I'm not saying this is going to happen, what would the national outrage be I'm not saying outrage because would the national reaction be if Shedeur Sanders gets cut? I don't think they'll cut him. I think they're more likely to cut Dylan Gabriel. But what happens if he gets cut?
But Dylan Gabriel was taken.
Was before him. Yeah.
I think people would be outraged, but if you look at it, it's not that strange to cut a 5th round pick.
No, but it would nationally, it will be a huge.
Someone would inevitably pick him up.
Somebody would pick him up. Maybe the Saints pick him up.
I don't think.
Earl's in Chicago. He says up there. Every Chicago show is kind of the Saints to win as well. They should.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying that's an easy.
Chicago, I can say this comfortably. I think the Bears beat New Orleans comfortably.
I don't think they're going to be nearly as good as anybody. I think they're still a 7-win kind of team. I think Caleb Williams sucks.
I don't disagree with you, but I think you think. Well, come on.
I think he sucks. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback.
Crazy.
You can say it's crazy all you want. I think he'd be out of the league in 3-4 years. That's what I think.
Jim, that is an insane take.
Okay. Cut this out and we'll play it in 3 or 4 years. Hopefully I'm still here.
Out of the league in 3 or 4 years.
I think he'll 3 to 4 years he'll be out of the league. I think he'll be bad this year. They'll bring him back because they have to next year and because they're the Bears. He'll be bad again next year.
He wasn't even that bad last year.
He wasn't good.
He got a lot better as the season went on. Okay, you got to look at it, Jim. You got to look at it. Not only are the Bears historically terrible at developing quarterbacks, he had 3 different offensive coordinators last year as a rookie.
Okay, you're making.
He now gets one of the most stable offensive minds in the game.
We'll see if it makes a difference, and if I'm wrong, I'll sit here in January and tell you I'm wrong. I haven't seen anything from Kid, and it's just what I see. It's not that this quarter. It's just the abilities that he has. I'm not impressed by his abilities. I'm just not. I never understood why he was the best quarterback in college football. I never understood why people thought
he wasn't. Jaden Daniels was.
Well, I know, but I don't know.
I know we agree on that.
You and I agree on that, and I think most of the people watching the show agree on that. But I don't think
Caleb
in general.
Williams is a big arm, and he's actually stepped up in a leadership role. I think he's shown a lot of maturity, actually, since he got to Chicago. And I think he's going to be a good. I'm not saying he's going to be an All-Pro, but I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's going to be just fine.
Here's what I think he is. I think he's similar to, except he probably moves a little bit. Well, not probably. He definitely moves a little bit better. A lot better. But he's similar in the fact of it's the same hype, same, I think, disappointment, and it's early. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot earlier. But he's similar to Jameis Winston in the fact that that's where I think he's headed.
And Jameis Winston is still in the league 12 years later.
I don't think it's been 12 years. I don't think it's been 12 years. I think it's been less than 10. Has it really been that long?
2013, he played in the national title.
Really been that long? I'm that old?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jameis is heading into year 12, right? I'll look it up.
Here we go on live TV.
But I was going to say, you really want to get back into the 3 or 4 year?
No, I am. I'm hitched. It's different today. You can't do what Jameis did back. It's a different quarterback world today.
Okay, look at this, Jim. Zach Wilson's still in the league.
You got a point.
He's Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold.
You got a point. Well, Sam Darnold actually made some. You have a point on that. So maybe
you look at some.
You got a point.
You look at some of these failed guys. Jameis has played 10 years. He's heading into his 11th this year.
Okay, well but he's 31. So I mean, that's not that. I mean, difference is Jameis actually has a personality too. Personalities can.
I think Caleb Williams has a personality. People don't like it, but I mean, look at Caleb Williams' stats last year. He threw for 3,500 yards. His first name
should be Dill, and you can figure out what his last name should be.
He threw for 3,500 yards.
Dad's
20
name's
touchdowns
John
and
Doe.
6 picks. I mean, if you throw 20 touchdowns and 6 picks, that'll keep you in the league for over a decade. Hell, Aaron Rodgers is still putting up those numbers.
Earl says Caleb way overrated. I'm not showing this to go against you. As Callie says, he kind of agrees with me on Caleb.
I will be the lone Caleb Williams defender here.
Brian Cabot says, there you go. You're not the lone one. Williams will be in the league for 10 years, even if he's horrible as a star. Somewhere will be less than them. I just don't. He doesn't even seem like the guy that would wants to be a number 2. Tedders, Caleb is soft above the shoulders. I agree wholeheartedly. I think that's his problem. Sean H says he's too soft. I think that's his biggest problem. He's always crying and whining about crap. Oh, it's
Like
always
what?
someone else's fault. Look, I want any quarterback. I want a quarterback to stand up and say, you know what? I sucked.
I
I
think
don't
he
want
did that multiple times last
No,
year.
I think what he did was blame past OCs and whatever else. Blame everybody else.
I mean, can you blame him?
Yeah, because even if I'm saying that in-house, I'm not saying that outwardly to anybody. I might be saying that to my buddy, my teammate, but I'm not saying that outwardly. I don't know that I've ever seen that dude smile. Before the next show, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge you, Gabe Henderson.
To find a picture of him smiling?
No, I want you to find a video of 5 seconds worth of
All
Caleb.
right, Adam, we're not doing this.
No, we're not doing that.
That
we just
does
ignore
not
it. Just
make
ignore
him
it. Ignore
any
it.
less of a man than you or I.
Yeah.
And
We're
please
not
do
doing
not
that.
act otherwise, because I will go after you if you say something like that.
I'm with
That's
you.
just I do not have any tolerance for ignorant shit like that. I'm sorry.
Last point. I'm serious. Here's your challenge for Friday. I want you to find me a 5-second video clip anywhere. And you can put it in the media asset. You know how to do it. You can put it in the media assets. 5-second video clip of Caleb Williams smiling / laughing / hugging a teammate /
That's easy. Come on. I can probably find a compilation. That's
fine. Do whatever way you want.
I mean, let's look at it like this.
He just doesn't look like a happy dude. Just doesn't look like a happy dude.
And Aaron Rodgers. Adam, you can have an opinion.
All right, we're moving on. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
No,
I don't want to talk about that anymore. Moving on.
No, it's not an opinion. That's an ignorant fact.
Yeah, it's deleted. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So seriously, there's your chance. You think you can find something?
Oh, easily. He threw 20 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, this is Chad. Of course. I mean, I'm not saying that you would take Williams over. Of course, you would
100%.
take. Of course. I mean,
I would take Stevie Wonder.
Of course, you would take the number one draft pick from last year.
Yeah.
Oh, who was drafted above Jaden Daniels over Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler. That's like saying I would rather eat spaghetti over beets. Of course. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Ray Barra says Taysom Hill might be retired by week 5, Ray.
See,
Rattler
I love this
trade.
kind of stuff from Ray. I absolutely love this. In seasons like this, you just have to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I love the crazy predictions and all that. Like that's how you have fun with it.
I don't even know what, what? What do we think? What are we broing about?
Stuff like what Ray said. Those smiles and laughs are gonna get Saints fans to this season. I promise you. No matter how miserable it gets.
All right, I can't wait to see what compilation you. It could be long. It could be anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds. I can't wait to see what you find and bring on this show, Rod. And I'm not going to look at it. If you put it in the media assets, and then when you come on, you will click on it and show it. All right.
Sounds good.
We'll resume this then. See you then.
Sounds good.
All right. That was a fun one. I enjoyed that conversation. You got about I'm going to give you the last word today. You got 5 more minutes to get whatever comment you want to get in. It is time to wrap it up for this Wednesday. Just about. Look, we're just having fun. I think at some point, there was a, if for those of you who watch the show long enough, you know that I'm a big Cubs fan. And let me tell you something. And I think the reason why I've always been a Cubs fan, I think the Saints and the Cubs have a lot in common. Now, obviously, the Saints don't have the history that the Cubs have. But the Cubs, you want to talk about sucking. I mean, growing up, I remember when they went to the playoffs in '84, huge deal, big, giant deal. They went in '89 again, great, and then they sucked for a long time again before they went back, before they expanded the playoffs and whatever. But there was a shirt maybe 10, 12 years ago, and it said, "Embrace the suck." And at some point, if this year goes like I think it's going to go, we're still going to have to try to find a way to have fun with everything. And not just look for, of course, you look for positives or whatever. It's not going to be all negative show. I'm not going to come on Dattitude on a Monday morning. The Saints are god-awful. They stink. I can't stand this. They threw 5 interceptions, 2 fumbles. The defense stinks. Adios. See you later. It's not going to be like that, okay? And that is related, for those of you old enough to know the Eddie Murphy Ross skit I'm talking about. That's basically where that's going. Okay. It's not going to be a hate show. It's not going to be a suck show. At some point, if they suck as bad as I think they're going to suck, we're going to have to embrace the suck. And that is going to be kind of the moment that we're going to have to find the positives, and we will talk about the positives. But there are ways to have fun. Smiles and last quote from a movie. Yeah, it's from actually a stand-up comedy movie, Eddie Murphy. Embrace the suck. PBM says Winston came out in 2015. Well, that would make this his 11th season. Gabe was right. 1 plus 10, 11. He's right. Like Escali, embrace it. Embrace the suck. That is going to be our thing here on the show. We may even make Embrace the Suck Dattitude t-shirts. Gabe, I think we got something here. We don't have any merch. We need some merch. Apathy says Caleb Williams was half as effective versus ranked opponents versus ranked opponents. Man, you going back. You're not even talking about his NFL work. You got to shine in those big games. I don't know. Chad, maybe John Forcade is veiled. Chad, I haven't seen John in probably a couple years. John has trouble walking. My fellow Shaw grad, class of 77, 78, 77, I believe. A little before my time, but I've got to know John a little bit. I graduated with his brother, Terry, youngest brother. Ray says he's keeping his expectations low, fly under the radar, been through the rough years, and will watch no matter what. Amen. You can find humor in all the games. Yes. I know, Ray, you and I don't agree on everything. We certainly didn't agree on the car day and during the car days, but absolutely, you can. It's not going to be a suck hate. This is going to be different than last year. Okay. This is why I do think this will be different. And going back to what Eric was talking about and why I think this year will be, even if they're super terrible. Okay. And this is why I'm saying embrace the suck and tamper some of the enthusiasm, because if you have too much hope, if you really believe that, and I'm not telling you not to, if that's the way you are, believe 7 to 10 wins, whatever. Okay. But when you're not expecting anything, and I'm not expecting anything, they either give you something and you're like, wow, okay, I didn't expect that. Great. Or you can find positives. You can't find positives in a 5-12 season when you go in and you start 2-0. And then you have to fire your coach and your quarterback gets hurt and you hate him anyway. And you can't find any fun in that. Okay. And, even for Rattler fans, he went 0-6 and they were just terrible. And it wasn't Rattler's fault, but whatever. You know what I mean? You can't find fun in that. Earl's picks, amen. It's a new beginning, and that is exciting. I agree with that wholeheartedly. So don't misunderstand me when I'm talking about the things that I'm talking about. Of course you can have fun with it. Of course there are positives. Apathy says the positive was it got Dennis Allen fired. And Escali, amen, DA is gone. Again, I don't like advocating for someone to be fired, but it had to happen for this team to move on. Okay. That had to happen. And even though I was saying Derek Carr was the only chance this team had to win this year, I said now that he's gone, I'm glad, because you do move on. That era is gone. Okay. And then it's going to be going even further when after this year, God forbid, some of these guys that are tied to the past, they're going to be gone too. I love Cameron Jordan. He belongs on the wall of Mount Rushmore of Saints, or if he's not one of the top 4, he's certainly in the top 5 or 6. It's time to move on. I love DeMario. Time to move on. I love the Honey Badger. It's time to move on. Even, God forbid, don't shoot me when I say this, Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill, it's time to move on. That's when this era will be over. That's when you can start really getting excited, okay? I mean, the only thing that those guys that I just mentioned and talked about that can give you hope is if this team is a surprise and they can help you this year, because they're not going to help you turn the page. You've got to turn the page. Can they do it? I just think it's going to take a long time to do it. I really do. I think it's going to take a long time to do it. Gabe's telling me to check my text. Oh, hold on. Hold on here. I'm going to show this. It's not going to come out. It's not going to come out very well. This is not going to come out very well. Okay. I don't even know if it's going to let me. It may not even let me take this. Oh, no, it will. No, that's not the right one. No, it's not going to let me take it, Gabe. I'm not going to be able, but it's actually a picture of Caleb Williams smiling. What is he on here? It's in a press conference. But then there's a picture underneath it of Caleb Williams. He's not smiling. I want video. Earl's Pick says, Alvin still has time, but he can't be at the end. I'll be all in the RB room. He has time to do what? He's got the 32nd ranked quarterback room by far. I don't care who starts. There it is. There it is. He found a picture of Caleb Williams' smile. I challenged him and he found one. I don't know how he found it, but he found it. I don't know how he found it, but he found it. All right. We had fun in this show. See? So embrace the suck. Ray says it's gonna be a fun season. Doesn't let him ruin his week. And that's the thing. We're not gonna let it ruin our week, because it did last year. It almost kind of ruined your Thanksgiving and Christmas to some extent. I don't know. Maybe by Christmas we had kind of let it go. That Giants game was, even though they won, you think about that Giants game, and I have to go back, and you can go back and watch my Derry's Dime from after that Giants game. I was really hard on them. I mean, the Giants should have won that game. They missed the chip shot field goal, or they would have won. It just wasn't good. Yep, Gabe worked his magic. All right, that is going to do it for today. We will be back on Friday. I don't know who the guests are. We're going to have a guest, I'm fairly certain. Earl's Pick says that looks more like Ryan Poles more than Caleb. Okay. I'm still, the challenge is still on, by the way. It's an AI smile, says Brian Cabot. It's an AI generated smile. I'm still challenging to find me video. I'm just saying. Caleb Williams is like, you ever get like bored at night and before you go to bed, you're like watching Facebook Reels or YouTube Shorts or TikToks or whatever. And these keep coming up, and I guess they keep coming up because I sit there and laugh at them. I don't know why. I think it's like aimless, mindless crap. And it's a dog kind of messing with a cat, and the cat just gets pissed off and just go, wah, 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 wah. You ever watch those shorts? I could see Caleb Williams as the cat. Like just cats are just miserable animals in general. I'm not talking about tigers and lions and crap. I'm talking about that your typical house cat. As someone who was raised by a mother who raised Persian cats, don't get me started. I've never really liked cats. Okay. Not a cat person. I'm not even really a dog person anymore. We have a dog. Don't get me wrong. It's whatever. I don't want to piss off the animal people. But house cats are just miserable. They're just miserable. That's what Caleb Williams kind of reminds me of. It's miserable. You ain't lying, Ray. Good show. Thank you. Charles, great show. Again. Apathy calls that doom scrolling. You are correct. That is what it is, but sometimes there's nothing else to do. Mark Gapsky, great show as always. Thank you. We are going to see y'all all on Friday. We hope y'all have a great rest of your week. It's so weird coming off of a holiday because we're so used to our mono-y Mondays. We kind of had one today. It was a little different today. I didn't know how to treat Wednesday. And honestly, I don't think Wednesday knew how to treat me because I just haven't had that great of a day. Y'all helped make it a good one. And if you're listening after the fact, we really appreciate you as well. please subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. If you haven't done so already, before we go off the air, give us a like. Give us a like. I don't know why they say it helps the algorithm, but me and Algie are trying to be best buds. He's kind of not taking my calls lately. I don't know what the deal is, but me and algorithm trying to be buds. So subscribe to the Dattitude page, YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. That is going to wrap it up for us this Wednesday. I want to thank today's guest, Eric Asher, Gabe Henderson, and of course, you. You are always our guest. You're not even guests anymore. You're family. We hope you can join us next Friday. We'll tell you who our guest is later. Reminder, again, to subscribe to our Dattitude page. Click the little bell. That's also Algie's friend. Click the little bell to receive notifications of when we go on the air live. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. And find a replay of the show always on NOLA.com/sports. You can find me on bet.NOLA.com. You can find our Saints insiders on NOLA.com/sports/Saints. You got it. We'll see everybody on Friday. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.